I went to Alaska right out of college. So that was for the 2003-2004 school year. It's so hard to get a teaching job, and I kind of wanted to go do like the Peace Corps thing, but I had some debt from college and couldn't really swing that. So I did go teach, but it wound up being kind of this weird, random place in Alaska. So at a job fair, I ran into a guy. I was actually walking by his table, and he was telling this lady about the first time he'd walked into a house in the village that he was teaching in, and met a woman as she was cutting up a seal. And it sounds disgusting, but it was kind of fascinating at the same time. And so I sat down and talked to him for a while, and set up an interview and talked to him for a while longer, and wound up getting a job offer at a little tiny school out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, and took it. So you jump headfirst in, there's all sorts of enthusiasm and excitement. And I was the high school teacher for the village that I lived in, Kasigluk. So I taught 9 different courses over the course of the year, and I had 18 students. I got to work with them a lot more one-on-one, and I don't know that in that setting I could have succeeded without doing a little bit more, individualized instruction, some of the one-on-one, and trying to meet students where they are. I would be at school probably from 5 in the morning until usually 1 in the morning, Monday through Saturday, every week, just prepping. I taught there for a year, and it was a really hard decision. It's another kind of empowering moment in life too. Really hard decision if I was going to stay on or not for another year. And I ultimately made the decision to resign. Being that far away from home that permanently was a little rough. Got an interview at Hersey and came in and wound up getting offered a position like the week before I was going to hit send on that Peace Corps application. So came here and worked here for a couple of years, and then I think it was 2008. I just had that itch, and I needed to do something, and that's when I decided to join up with the teacher exchange program. I spent 2 summers, 6 weeks over the summer in northern Uganda, working with teachers and developing curriculum and teaching strategies, and we ran like a teaching and learning conference and whatnot. So, team teaching with teachers in the classrooms and working with the students and kind of living the life of a teacher in northern Uganda for a while. So you go into a room and there'd be 60, 80, 100 students in a room with a teacher. So it was really hard to kind of develop those personal connections or even recognize, a student from day to day, because attendance was another issue, whether a student was going to be there or not because of all the demands outside of class on those students. So in terms of like finding ways to engage and help students be present too, and thinking and working, it was a completely different challenge. In both places too were some of the poorest people I've known. In Africa for sure. My first year there, I was in a displaced persons camp. So people who had left their villages because of the conflict that had happened, several years before there. And there were these tiny little mud huts with the, UN food bag roofs, and but you couldn't go anywhere without somebody wanting to share with you. I went to dinner a few times at a few different people's houses, and they rolled out all the fineries and the food, and I knew when I was sitting down and eating chicken or whatever it was, that was something they didn't eat every day. It was a special occasion, and just the willingness to share and to give. Being in a different place with people who kind of have a different background, a different culture, different beliefs, whose day-to-day life looks different than mine, really kind of serves as that check which is why I think I went to Africa a couple years after coming back from Alaska. You throw yourself a curveball and you get to kind of really measure who you are. You're forced to be mindful. You can't just go along with the routine. You have to be aware of everything that's going on around you, and there's a mindfulness, I think, that comes with challenging yourself in that way, or putting yourself in those foreign experiences that way, that I try to carry over into teaching. I would go back someday. I still keep in touch with a few people pretty closely from Africa, and I think some of the people there I could call up 10 years from now, and not talk to them between now and then, and say, Matthew Larema, my friend, how are you? How are things in your world? Come visit. And I could get on a plane and I'd have a place to stay, and so for sure, Africa someday.